In the first tape, Mora makes a very interesting statement. He says that the reason we can know he speaks the truth is because a truth can be proven. All of the information you receive in these messages can be proven to yourself if you will only take the time. In the next session, Mora is going to discuss what happens when our life on Earth is over and we prepare for our departure into the astral. Many people doubt the existence of this world, but Mora will show it to be a real world full of life, and why we should not fear our brief encounter with death.
Good evening. I am the teacher Mora, who spoke to you on this first tape. This next talk I'll be giving to you will be preparing yourself for the astral plane. You're growing old, and the body's becoming weaker. And the soul cannot accomplish much anymore in it. So it is getting time for you to leave it. Time for you to come home. Through the students out through the world, I think the most drastic thing for them to do is to have to face death. They don't even want to think about it. But students, you're in these vehicles, these bodies, on this earth plane, and sooner or later you're going to have to face it. Just like the time when you faced it when you had to come back into this earth plane. And what I'm going to try to do tonight is to show you or tell you of just how simple death and beautiful death can be. Excuse me. In the Western world, death is a word that brings fear into people. They don't want to face it. They're scared of it. So you can make death a fearful thing to you, or you can face it with love of knowing you carried your mission out here on earth. So many people or students, they go to church, and the good priest or the good minister or the good rabbi stands up there on a pulpit and tries to explain to them about how loving their Father is. But then they throw a little fear into the people that your Father is real loving, But if you do this and you do this, you're going to be judged and committed to eternal hell. So what I call this is like putting a negative on top of a positive. If a person is real loving, how can he be so condemning? For there is always forgiveness. It's like I said in the first tape. You're going to school down here. And if you fail your class students, you just got to receive it over, don't you? And this is what the good Father does. He makes you repeat it. And repeat it. Until you do pass your grades. So many students, when they have to face death, they run to their ministers or priests or their rabbis and they say, Reverend, what am I to expect? And student, there is not one minister, priest, or rabbi that can face you face to face and say what to expect. They don't know, students. They don't know. For the person that is ready to leave, for within 1 year of its death time, the teachers that have been working with them will work double hard and prepare the person or the student for its role of coming home. To prepare that there is no fear. I like to talk to you students of just telling, like I said it before to you. You're down here going to school. And when school is out, where do you go? You come home. Where there's people and other souls waiting to welcome you with open arms. And this is what I like to talk about tonight, of getting the fear out of you. Of looking forward, of coming home. Looking forward to it. Because, students, there is not a thing to fear about. There's no fear in there. The only fear that there is a fear that you put in it yourself. We have so many souls that leave the earth and come to the astral. That they wait around. Once they reach the astral, they don't know where they are. And they're waiting for the good Father to come and judge them. The good Father's not going to judge him. For the good Father or the Godhead we'll call him, is love. And love doesn't have to judge nothing. For the evil that's in this world, the good Father didn't create it. Man created all the evil that there is. So why should the Father have to judge him? Don't you think it's much better if you judge yourself? Of preparing yourself for death is beautiful. Of unloading these heavy weights that's holding you down here on earth. Of getting your freedom back the way it should be. But students, there is no purpose of having to go through all this, of through these lectures that I'll be giving you, where you can look forward to death and knowing when it's coming. Of singing out Gloria and Hallelujah when it does come. That you shed these heavy weights that's holding you down. For every night that you fall asleep, can you give me the exact moment that you fell asleep? Excuse me. But the most beautiful part that you will learn is when the time comes for you to come home, of lifting out of these heavy weights and floating to the open arms of the loved ones that are waiting for you. No pain, no sorrow, of ready to come home. It's just amazing how man, when it's his time to come home, fights for life here on earth. Struggles through the pain he's been going through, and still wants to struggle to stay here on earth. Through this awareness that you'll be receiving by these tapes, and mostly students by your teachers when you come to know them that are walking with you, of how little this earth life is going to mean to you. How you go through your day of performing your duties through the days with this gleam of light in you. That's shining in you. Of knowing that there is something better coming. something beautiful to look forward to. That the fear will be gone. Students, by just sitting and relaxing and saying every morning when you get up, I put my life into your hands, my teacher, to guide me right through the day. And through the night, you will take me and show me my accomplishments and my failures that I had through this day, and give me my lessons that I need to carry me on through the next day. And as you develop into your powers of realizing that you got these teachers with you, it won't be long and you can hear the whispers in your ear from them. It won't be long when you be going to bed, and as you lie down and relax like I told you to do on the first tape, you'll be looking at the foot of your bed, and there will stand your teacher with his hand out, and he will say, or she will say, it's time to go home for a little while through the night, so you can accomplish your lessons on this earth. Students, what I'm saying can be all proven through your willingness of doing of what I tell you to do. It's going to take time. And practice, and most of all, through the trust you got to put in yourself and clearing the doubt out of your mind. For you always got to think of the positive. Never think of the negative. The negative is what holds you back. The negative is fear. The positive is love. The positive is the Father. And if you're always positive, students, things will happen to you. And as a teacher Mora on the Astral, I promise you, you will have a beautiful life here on earth. And when it comes to the day that you got to leave these bodies, you're going to lay back in that bed and you're going to say to your teacher, I am ready to come home. I fulfilled my mission here on earth, and I learned a lot while I was here on earth. And I am ready to come back home and evolve higher. Back to my Father, where I came from. Through this awareness, you will forget about pain. And this is the most trouble we have on the astral plane. Is people in pain. When the good doctors here on earth give them medication for pain. And when they come through the astral, through the curtain into the astral, we have such a hard time explaining to them where they are. Some don't even want to believe that they left their bodies. But through these tapes and through the knowledge that you can receive through your teachers by being aware of them, it'll be just like you stepping through the door and coming home where you belong. Of learning all your lessons here on earth. And through the night while you sleep, students. These dreams which you call, gee, I had a funny dream. Take that dream and analyze it. What does this dream mean to you? Is it something that's coming ahead, or is it something that went behind? But each one means something to you. You might have a dream in fear, which you call a nightmare. All a nightmare is nothing but a lesson of getting you over the hump, what we call it, of fear. Of trying to make you face it and realize fear is nothing. It's something man created himself. There shouldn't be no fear. But man created fear. You hear so many people say when it comes to time to die that they have no fear of it. They can say it through the physical, but the fear is still there, students. It's still there. But through this awareness that I'm trying to teach, you will know what's coming. Because students, once you learn how to get out of these bodies of yours, to come to the astral for your lessons, you can go through and look back at your past life and see how you approached death. And a lot of you will sit and laugh about it, just how that fear took you over. What I'm trying to get across to you, students, is look onto death as beautiful. Like you've been away on a long vacation or going to school and you're coming home. And there's a home for you to come to. And there's many souls waiting to welcome you. Wanting to help you to adjust. To get back adjusted to your home here on the Astral. I just can't say to you students, say, and wave my arm or a wand and say, fear be gone. I wish I could. But this is something you're going to have to work out yourself. Of putting the positive over the negative of fear that you do not fear. Man always fears something he cannot see. but through the awareness you're going to get just by listening through these tapes, you'll be able to look fear straight in the eye, and you can be able to say, "Be gone. For within me there is no fear." For I am love. And where there is love, students, there cannot be fear. Is there any questions?
Yes, I have a question. Could you explain to me the difference between a seance and a sitting like we're having tonight?
A seance is like a medium who uses any spirit that's around, which I'll get into later on in another lecture, to speak through. And you have many seances or mediums that are good, and you have a lot of false ones. You have mediums that use it to get rich. But a sitting is like we're having here tonight, where you use the spiritual teacher, of just spiritual teacher, to come through and give you knowledge and explain to you what this earth plane, what this life is all about. A seance is using any spirit. Sometimes they will connect to a teacher, but very seldom. They usually just connect to an earthbound spirit. And I'll get into that later to explain the earthbound spirits. But when you started this group here of just you people here, and you realized you had a medium, you all agreed to just having a teacher come through. Now, is there any other questions? Or does this answer it good enough for you?
Yes. Why did you pick this particular student to come through?
For I've been walking with this student for a long time. For this student was born to be a medium. For this was just used for within his family until now, till we broke her out and invited other students to come in. The student went through life aware of the spiritual teachers around him. He knew this when he was a little child, that he had spiritual teachers. And through his life, ever so often a spiritual teacher would appear to him. But when the time was right, this is when the teacher decided to use his body to carry the message through. And the message that we're trying to carry through is like on the subject tonight. Of not to be afraid of anything. And especially death. Because, students, death is beautiful if you accept it right and have no fear of it. All you're doing is going on another trip back home. And this trip, students, you don't even have to pack a suitcase for. Is there any other questions?
Mora, I have two questions. There must be other groups around this country or around the world similar to this one. Why was this one chosen to make these tapes?
For everything we taught this group, where we thought the tapes would be right for now, first we took the group alone and gave them instructions of how to astral travel, how to meet in the astral, how to go to the astral to find out what their lessons were. And we proved it to the group that this can be done. And once we proved it to the group, we decided, not just me, the other teachers with them, we decided it is time for this to come out on tape, to start opening the minds of people. For we are coming into the glorious years now. And the planets are lining straight. And it is time for the minds to open. To take the darkness out that the soul's in and shove the light in to evolve them higher. Is there any other questions?
Mora, I have one more. Is there any danger presented to the medium when you take over his body?
It all depends. I would not advise nobody that is listening to this tape to try it. Only under guidance of another medium of to carry it through. Because there can be a danger to the body if the teacher does not, or the spirit does not enter right, or does not leave right, which takes practice. For it's like me, now that I'm in this body here, I feel like I'm crammed into a suitcase. I don't feel the freedom I have when I'm out into the astral. And it is very hard for me to get used of using his vocal cords, where in the astral everything is done by thought. So to answer your question, not everybody can be a medium. And I suggest that you shouldn't try unless you have professional help in doing it. It's like you're wondering maybe why I'm speaking just straight, plain, low English through this body. The spirit teacher will always talk in the language to the lowest person that everybody can understand. Now, if I was speaking through this vehicle with a bunch of doctors, I would talk in a medical form of English. To lawyers, we'd use law form. Where whoever's in the room, we speak to the one that everyone can understand. You understand that now? Is there any more questions before I leave? May the light of the Father bring you joy and peace. And remember, students, learn to relax and picture the light right outside your head. And picture yourself heading for the light. Good night.